Good morning, students. Welcome back, students. From the chapter Social Movement, today I am going to discuss about the theories of social movement. Last class I have already discussed about the theories name, like the theory of relative deprivation, theory of collective action, and theory of resource mobilization. First of all, last class I have already told about the theory of relative deprivation, but still today I am repeating it once again. Theory of relative deprivations. In the theory, we have to remember some of the important points about the theory. The theory of relative deprivation, what is saying that number one, everyone is deprived of something, but every deprivation doesn't lead to social movements. Everyone is deprived in any aspects. He or she, maybe you or maybe I, we are deprived of something, but every deprivation does not lead to social movements. Number one. Number two is, however, this theory means the relative deprivation theory states that when a particular group is deprived by any basic necessity, it will lead to a social movement. The basis of this theory is that the individual. Why? Individual is a unit. On the basis of second point, deprivation is on the depend on number one, feels unhappy with the situation. It means whatever the situation you are belonging, you are unhappy or unsatisfied with that situation. Number one. And number two, has a psychological factor which convinces them that they are deprived. These 2 points you have to remember. Maybe you are unhappy with your present situation. So what does it mean? Can you create a social movement? No. And another thing is that a psychological factor which also a main reason of the deprivation. Now, the limitations of the theory. What are the limitations? Every deprivation should not or will not lead to social movement. That is it. Deprivation is not enough for a social movement. Many other factors are also needed. Understood the theory of relative deprivation? Next theory, theory of collective action. Theory of collective action given by Olson, who says that every individual who is part of a social movement have a self-interest. What he said? He said every individual who is part of a social movement have a self-interest. As soon as their self-interest is fulfilled, they leave the social movement. Okay? Second thing is what? The basis of this theory is humans' rational thinking. Why should one be part of a social movement if I do not benefit? It means that if I don't have any interest or I will not be benefited, then why should I participate in the movement? That is the point. It's a view of Olson. Now the theory of resource mobilization. What does it mean? First of all, resource mobilization theory given by McCarthy and Jal. They said Everyone in a social movement need not have self-interest. Yes, they said that everyone in social movement need not have self-interest. They said social movement is successful if one is able to mobilize resources. Like resources here means the people, good leaders, economic resources, political support, cultural support, etc. For example, Anna Hazare, 2011, you know the story, did not have self-interest. Now, the limitation. Limitation, according to the sociologist and the social psychologist, people can create resources. They don't have to mobilize them. A social movement need not depend on existing resources. New identities, new resources, etc. are created. For example, freedom struggle, no money, political power, but generated resources in manpower, good leaders, etc. So students, that's all about the theories of social movement. We have to study 3 theories. Number 1 is the theory of relative deprivation, theory of collective action, and theory of resource mobilization. I am requesting to all of you, please go through the whole chapter and go through the theory. You just read the theory, okay? After that, you can follow your full marks book. I hope you will understand. Now, I want to discuss the next point, that is the type of social movements. Types of social movements. In your book, 3 ways to classify social movements. Number 1 is reformist, number 2 is revolutionary, and number 3 is redemptive. First, reformist. Reformist movement means movement is a movement where the reformers try to change the mindset of the people regarding a particular issues. Reformist movement means is a movement where the reformers, here who are the reformers? Reformers like the Swami Vivekananda, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, Jyotiba Phule, they are the famous reformers. They try to change the mindset of the people regarding a particular issue. So that is known as the reformist movement. Next, what? Revolutionary. Revolutionary means a revolt or a big change by using of weapons. So revolutionary movement is a movement where radical or violent methods are used to bring about change in society. I said that good use of weapons. For example, Subhash Chandra Bose, Indian National Army, Bhagat Singh are the famous revolutionarist reformers. Next point is that the redemptive. What does it mean? Redemptive movement is formed to reduce actions done in the past. What is it? Movement is formed to reduce action done in the past. It lies to change the thinking of the people. For example, anti-Brahmin movement started by Sri Narayan. Now the another types of social movement also we have to study, that is the old movement and the new movement. Old movement means, I hope all of you can guess the things, that is old movement. Most have links with political parties and they were very important, for example, freedom struggle. And new movements what? Do not have links to political parties, may sometimes oppose the parties of government. For example, the workers' movement. Old movement usually to do with economic inequality, and new movement involves economic, social, political, cultural inequality. In the old movement, concerned with the lower or the depressed class like women and Dalits, for example, Arya Samaj. And for the new movement, to do with all classes and all castes, for example, workers' movement, tribal movement, like that. Now, another movement we have to also learn, that is the ecological movement. What does it mean? Ecological movement, any movement to do with the environment, and the main aspects of the movement is environment. All the changes, all the factors are dependent on environment. It is a new problems nowadays. Actually, it was not there in the past. Have come up in the past 2 to 3 decades, like Chipko movements is a movement which was not related to the economic aspect. It affected all aspects. Now, economic. When contractors from cities come to cut down the trees, the women, the children went and hugged the trees. Reason being they were dependent on the forest for their livelihood, like the grazing, firewood, food gathering, etc. Here also another factor, that is political. Villagers were unhappy that politicians sitting in the cities and they are giving new political concepts. So politicians were not concerned about their livelihood. They are just the followers of their own demand. They want to meet their own demand. As a result, it became popular. Mass media was important in spreading the news, and people started their own improvement in their own states. So students, ecological movement, that is depend on the environment. In your book, NCERT book, we can see that types of social movements are many types, like the reformist, revolutionary, redemptive, old movement, new movement, ecological movement. Now another thing is coming, that is a class-based movement. Class-based movement. Class-based movement means, first point is peasant movement. Peasant movement, we can divide it in some of the few subheadings, that is pre-colonial time. There were movements, but they were not localized, so we did not know about them as peasants. We were too scared to form their own movement. They were very poor and could not mobilize people. It's a picture of pre-colonial period. But in the time of colonial period, 19th century, some revolts did become quite popular, like the Bengal Revolt, Indigo Plantation by Gandhiji during 1970 to 1920. When he came back from South Africa, he traveled all across India helping people. There were two important movements, Champaran and Bardoli. In 1920s, there were a lot of revolts to do with related to forest, land, etc. organization formed. All India Kisan Sabha are the main organization for Bengal revolt. Class-based movement after independence. After independence, what we have seen? That Telangana movement in West Bengal. Farmers have to give 50% of profit to the government. They wanted 2/3, means the 60% profit, and give 1/3 to the government sharecroppers. Okay, so these are the main points or main aspects of the class-based movement, like the peasant movement. Peasant movements are divided into pre-colonial, colonial. So students, you have to remember this. And after that, another movement, that is Telangana movement in Andhra Pradesh. It is also like that. They were against the feudal system related to the land. Peasants protested against the Nizam's rules. They wanted proper working system, and it was supported by the CPI. Naxalbari, another example, in West Bengal, it started off at peasant movement and slowly become new farmers movement. Started off by farmers in a few places like Tamil Nadu, Punjab, etc. Farmers put money together and built road, etc. And they were tired of the politician fake promises, and they did all the work, and they did not let the government vehicles pass. No support from the government parties, anti-urban, anti-government. Worked for years for administration to help them, but since they got no help, they did it on their own, mainly connected with market. So students, up to class-based movement for today's only. Actually students, social movements in society, lots of social movements in our history. Actually, social movements is where a group of people come together in order to bring about change in society. So what does it mean? It means that for the sake of change, social movement is required in regard to certain social issues, with the aim of changing people's interest, people's perspective about that aspect. Okay, so now the social movement during the colonial rule, after the independence, and the features of social movements. So students, I am requesting to all of you, please go through the chapter. No need to read the whole book now. You just read out the pages, whatever I have covered today. That is the theories of social movements: theory of relative deprivation, theory of collective action, theory of resource mobilization, types of social movements: reformist, revolutionary, redemptive, old movement, new movement, ecological movement, peasant movement, means the class-based movements. Okay, class-based movement. And next day I will discuss the another class-based movement, that is the Telangana movement, workers movement. Okay, Dalit movement, it's a caste-based movement. Okay, students, please go through the pages. Next day I will discuss the next part of the chapter. This much only. Thank you everyone.